What's up, everybody? The news has broken tonight that Liverpool and Lyon have agreed a fee, as per Paul Joyce, for the sale of Shaqiri to Lyon for a reported £9.5 million. Lyon's initial offer had been around £4 million. That was quickly turned down by Liverpool. And I've got to be honest, I thought this would drag on a little bit closer to the end of the window. And this is why I'm a little bit optimistic that Liverpool may actually do some business before the window closes. Now, I've always wanted us to bring in one, maybe two players. But with moving Shaqiri on and the fact that that brings us, at last count, to 17 overseas players in the squad, we can probably trim that down to the number needed by moving Loris Karius on, because either way we know he hasn't got a future at the club. But as I was starting to get a little bit excited, and as I started to think about the possible solutions as to who Liverpool could bring in before the window closes, I was a little bit disappointed, although not surprised, to see something from James Pearce, which said not expecting Xherdan Shaqiri to be replaced in this window given the rise of Harvey Elliott. Fellow teenager Kaide Gordon is also penciled in for game time in domestic cups following his impact in pre-season. Now, this is where it gets a little bit difficult, isn't it? Because of course we all have high hopes and aspirations for Harvey Elliott and Kaide Gordon, and it's great to hear that Kaide Gordon is penciled in for some game time in the domestic cups this season. That's fantastic news, but I still think we lack squad depth enough, and here's why. So we know that we've lost Gini Wijnaldum, and we know that we're about to lose Xherdan Shaqiri, and you can say to me, look Craig, he didn't play many games last season, and Elliott's game time can cover technically the amount of game time maybe that Shaqiri would have played, but you can't tell me that he can replace both Wijnaldum and Shaqiri, and that's what I suppose James Pearce was speaking about in his piece, or at least in his tweet. And it's very difficult. It's a nuanced subject. I like a lot of what James Pearce does, but at times we will disagree on things, and this is one of those occasions. I think that yes, Harvey Elliott's nailed on for a first team chance, and yes, should do more than Shaqiri done for us, but I disagree that we should be quiet in the remainder of this window. I think that we should have learned from previous mistakes. We didn't go out there and replace Dejan Lovren. Look what happened. And on the face of it, if we allow that Shaqiri will move on and that attacking place will be taken up by Harvey Elliott, I think most of us are fairly okay with that. But we still want one more. The question is, will that be a midfielder? Will that be an attacking player? Well, I guess that could rest on what happens with Divock Origi. We don't want Divock Origi to be at the club and have no future plans with regards to game time from Jurgen Klopp. So I'll do another video, I'm sure, as we get closer to the time the window ends, around Divock Origi and will he or won't he still be here, and the permutations around that. But for the context of this video, I want to just look at why I think Harvey Elliott has huge potential and can fill a major gap in our squad, but also why I think it's a bit foolish of us not to go out and bring in at least one more body. So let's start around Harvey Elliott. We've seen yesterday the assist, well, I call it an assist to Salah. It was ruled out, but the ball to Salah showed you the vision. The little class as well from Virgil van Dijk when he spread the ball out. It was brought down by Harvey Elliott. He threaded it through to Trent, knocked it around the corner, and Divock Origi banged it in the net and made it 2-0. You know, we all know what he's capable of. Tony Mowbray spoke very highly about him at Blackburn. We've known since he broke through at Fulham, I think made his appearance at the age of 15, that we potentially have a very, very good player on their hands. And I get where James Pearce is coming from. Stunting the development of players coming through is an important thing that we have to get right and not do, because we want the likes of Musialowski, we want the likes of Conor Bradley, Caoimhín Kelleher, you know, players like Harvey Elliott now that are coming through. We want those guys to make the step up. But at the same time, we don't want to be dependent on young players if we get to the point of the season where we are fighting for a Champions League place or in the latter stages of the European Cup and we start to pick up some injuries, because it's, I think, a little bit too much pressure for maybe a Kaide Gordon. I think Elliott's ready. That's why I'm saying no problem with what anybody says around Elliott and him taking a place in the squad or any particular person's place or game time. He's ready. We all believe it. I believe it. We've seen it with our own two eyes. I think in the next few years he will go on to continue to go from strength to strength to strength. Where I get worried is if we have a situation like we had last season. Let's throw in the midfield as an example. You look at it on the face of it and you think that we're stacked in midfield. But if, let's say, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain or Naby Keita or Thiago or Henderson were to pick up some knocks, even the ones that don't keep them out for relatively long periods of time, if they picked up knocks even consecutively, that midfield with 2 games a week starts to become a little bit stretched. And do we really want to be bringing in the likes of a Kaide Gordon? And let's say it doesn't go our way on the occasion where we bring in a young Kaide Gordon, who we know we have high hopes for and who we all want to succeed. But we also don't want too much pressure put on him when it's unnecessary. Because the owners should have enough finances to go out in this window and make right what is a massive wrong, in my belief. We need one more in the squad. Not up to me if that's a midfielder, an attacking midfielder, a wide forward, a centre forward. That's up to the manager. You're going to say to me, Craig, Jurgen Klopp has spoken about not wanting to bring in more players. I think he meant numbers as in bodies and not as in actual physical players. Because, you know, if you offered him a Haaland right now, of course he'd take it. And Mbappe, of course he'd take it. But our manager's also realistic. I just think we don't want to look back at the time under Jurgen Klopp where we had the best manager around in world football, in my opinion, at a time. And yes, we built for the future. We built the academy at Kirby. We've heard about the owners wanting to buy another club, a feeder club. All of that stuff takes time to develop and see the benefits of. And it's great that we're doing it. It's great that we are looking to the future. But as in all of these type of things, you need to front load for the here and now. And that's where I think we're being a little bit naive as a club at the minute. Chelsea had a problem with a centre forward after bringing in an attacking player for money that we couldn't afford, remember, in Timo Werner. They went out there and they dropped 97.5 million on Lukaku. Manchester City went and spent 100 million on Jack Grealish. Manchester United have signed Jadon Sancho and Rafael Varane. And they're all players that will improve their squad. May start every week, may not start every week. They have big squads. Lukaku shows straight away what he's capable of. So I'm fully on board for singing Harvey's praises and believing that Harvey Elliott will probably score 8 to 10 goals this season, have a handful of assists, and we'll be talking about him hopefully in contention for Premier League Young Player of the Season, or at least looking forward to what we're going to see from him after a full season under his belt in the Premier League with a little bit of European experience as well. So this video is a bit of a mix between why I think it's right that we expect Harvey Elliott to perform because he's shown it, but why I think it's naive that we don't bring in somebody in this window, because there is squad places that need to be filled up. There's an awful lot of minutes missing when you take out Gini Wijnaldum's minutes. Those minutes, even to say to be filled by a Harvey Elliott, is asking a lot, because there are very few people that are as available, as fit and as 7 out of 10 every week as Gini was. So in my opinion, not going out there and adding another body, whether it's a Houssam Aouar, whether it's a cheeky bid at Barcelona for Pedri, whether it's going to Inter and saying, give us Nicola Barella, I don't really care at this moment in time, because there's so many good players that I could probably name 6, 7, 8, in my humble opinion, that could come in and do a job. So the clock is ticking. We do have great talent. We have a great squad, a great season ahead of us, a lot to look forward to. But I think it would be a mistake if we didn't strengthen before the window closes, particularly when there's so many clubs around Europe that are in an even worse financial position than Liverpool, that we could go out there and have a little look at. As I said, Pedri from Barcelona, on the face of it, seems entirely unrealistic. But as the clock ticks, as the transfer deadline window comes to a close, Barcelona's finances have to improve somehow. Maybe that's through the sale of somebody they didn't want to sell, much like when we were forced to sell Coutinho because he fought his way out of the club, almost pretty much down tools, and Barca threw in a really, really big offer. I think that the likes of Pedri may be able to be gotten. The likes of Nicola Barella. Of course, Inter won't want to lose him, but they've happily just lost Romelu Lukaku for the right amount of money. For me, the key to this transfer window has always been, can Liverpool open up an overseas squad place that we can fill with a value signing? Will we see Liverpool look to strengthen before the window closes? My gut tells me that we will, so I have to disagree with James Pearce's guessing on this one. And look, he would have a far more educated guess than me. But I think that because of the way the Shaqiri deal was done so quickly, I think it's great. I think it's brilliant that we all see the belief, and show the belief, I should say, in Harvey Elliott, especially the manager. But I do think that sign that it was done so early and agreed so early when I thought it was going to drag out. Because let's not forget, we'd been told that Liverpool wanted the 13 million quid we paid Stoke, and the fee has been agreed at 9.5 million. To me, that there's a reason for that. Because what's the benefit to us? Why not drag it out another week and see if we can get Lyon up another million quid or two as the transfer deadline day approaches? Again, call me naive, I just have a gut feeling there might be one more player through the door. That's my 2 cents on that anyway. Love to know what you guys think about it. Let me know what your thoughts are on Harvey Elliott, how many numbers, how many goals, or what numbers he's going to put up this season. Do you think we will see many minutes from Kaide Gordon? Do you agree with James Pearce, or would you like the club to go out there and try and bring somebody in from Europe now? A value signing, somebody that wouldn't have that Premier League or English tax, as we like to call it, you know, the Premier League proven tax. Because look, if it hadn't have happened, if we had have held on to Shaqiri, my mind would have started thinking, are we going to go in for Jared Bowen? Because, you know, he's an English player, he's a homegrown player, it's easy to include in the matchday squads. Let me know your thoughts on everything anyway. Massive thank you to you guys for watching. Please drop a like on the video, hit the subscribe button, and I'll be back real soon. Up the Reds.